still runs in Africa. Fredberry stalked the amber prairies. We all gotta live by nature's law. Live. I'm gonna live to bang and roll. I'm gonna live and I'll live my way.
Great job. Ted Nugent, where's Ted Nugent? Where's Ted? Huh? Look at you. You doing well? You are a handsome devil. Thank you. Great job, Ted. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
And now, it's time for Ted Nugent's Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus. It's the physics of spirituality with attitude. Powered by Patriot Mobile. Switch now. Go to patriotmobile.com/Ted.
Just out of the clear blue sky, that's another. I've never played that lick before, John, and that's a little while ago. By the way, John Brenkus, everybody, welcome to the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire. My spirit is campfiring deep in my belly, and I came up with a bastardization of a honky-tonk that I'm going to dedicate to you, Brenkus, and it kind of goes like this, because it's a grinder. I don't know. I just love playing the Gibson Birdland. This is the Gibson Birdland from Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's the Spiritual Erection Model number 9.
That's right.
Happy March 2021. In spite of all the forces that are trying to diminish and compromise our happiness, you, Brenkus, you bring great light to a dark world, and I'm so proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, bone to bone, spirit to spirit, middle finger to middle finger, American dream to American dream. Hi, John. How the hell are you doing?
Hello, Ted. You know what? I wanted to set the stage because I had a great conversation with my mother, my dear mother, Rose.
Love mothers. I love mothers.
That's right. We're going to make a shirt for the Spirit Campfire that says, I love mothers. I was having a conversation with my mom, and it was a very Spirit Campfire-y conversation. I think you'll appreciate it, and I wanted to set the stage for everything. I said to my mom, you want to know what's great about today more than any other time in my life? Is I feel very present. I feel very consumed with now. And I went down to 30A, the strip of beach down in Florida. We just bought a place down there. And I said, you know what was awesome is that I went to go get a milkshake. And that is what I was doing. I walked to the store. I was breathing the nice air. I got my milkshake. I went for a walk on the beach. I finished and everything was very present. And I was not thinking about what I'm doing 4 hours from now or what I did yesterday. I was just there. And you want to know what voice was in my head? It was Ted Nugent's voice saying, you're out in the swamp and you're listening to the birds chirp and you're watching the sun come up. And I'm like, it's all about being present here right now. And I think the Spirit Campfire has helped me appreciate the importance of now.
Boy, that's very, very profound, and I know you respect your elders. And I would just happen to say that in light of the crazy world all around us, no shit. Let me emphasize that to the best of my ability. You know, I've spent my life since teenage years doing interviews. And I'm not bragging. I just think statistically, I've probably done more interviews and had more Q&A, more dialogue, more back and forth, both in the world of media, though I'm being generous using that term, giving them credit for that. But many times, I mean, I've listed all the great radio guys and TV guys and different podcasts and blogs that I've done interviews with. And we do a Q&A, and we have guests on, and it always ends up being a spirit campfire where you exchange ideas, you inquire to find out the spirit of your guest, the spirit of your comrades. And one of the main questions that have always been asked of me, which really emphasize the importance of the here and now and how it optimizes the future. And that, especially in conversation with a mother, because nothing's more important than a mother. There would be nothing without mothers. My mom, we'll do a whole show on Mary and Dorothy Nugent. John, my mom.
Right. Your
what
poor
a
mother.
Ball of fire, Ma Nugent. But I get distracted because she's such a powerful force. But the question that is always, after being asked 1,000 times, because I never really focus on this exchange, I get from it what I can, and I try to suck up and absorb and sponge any wisdom that may have surfaced, and it always does. Your opening volley this evening is it's great wisdom, but more often than any other question. So when you started out, Ted, did you want to be a rock star? And what was your plans? What was your plans for the future? I got to tell you, you're talking about being consumed with the here and now, as I am right now in the Spirit Campfire on this first day of March 2021. I got to tell you, practicing the Chuck Berry licks and playing with the Ventures records and putting the needle on the little 45 on my little child's record player and learning the licks, I was consumed with the moment. I was consumed with that. Then it was time to get ready for dinner. I was consumed with setting the table. We all had our chores to do. I was consumed with taking out the trash. I was consumed with selling night crawlers and delivering my newspaper so I might buy a nice guitar someday. So your identification of the importance to optimize, maximize your relationship with a mom during a conversation, our Spirit Campfire openness and uninhibitedness, and dare I say, much appreciated irreverence on occasion, and challenging critical thinking. You know, and I know you know this, but I thought I'd make it really obvious. The here and now focus to optimize that moment in time lays a framework and a guiding light for the next movement. And if you really optimize your energies to the here and now, all of a sudden another activity will arise. You have absorbed all you could from the here and now, and you will be able to apply that to your next adventure. Now, that may sound awfully philosophical for the author of Wango Tango, but even when I wrote Wango Tango, I was so in the here and now. God, I was here and now. In fact, the here and now caused me to stink for at least a week, but the here and now fortified me for the next musical adventure, the next human relationship, the next hunting trip. So I salute you, John Brenkus. That's a very wise articulation of how in a moment in our lives during the 2020 and 2021 Chinese virus attack, we do have to maximize our relationships, our communications, our careers, our job description. So good for you. I think that's something that's not discussed very often because everybody's flighty and worried about the next move and worried about the next thing. If you optimize the here and now, you will be in good shape and prepared for the next maneuver.
And that was kind of the point that I really want everyone around the campfire tonight to sort of take away is, you know what? When people say, is it going to be okay? Are we going to make it? That is a very forward-looking question that when I had my toes in the sand just last week, I literally just kept saying to myself, everything is okay.
Yeah.
Like I am here and I am okay. Therefore, yes, everything will be okay because I am okay now. And in the next movement, I am going to be okay. And that idea, especially in the land of bizarro craziness, I challenge people, and Ted, I challenge you of what do you think people should think? The more headlines that you read and the more pontification that you listen to, especially coming from those who you may not agree with, I am a huge fan in listening to alternative views, but I find myself saying, that does not make any sense to me. And rather than saying, well, I'm going to go fix it, I just say, I need to dismiss that because it was garbage and it doesn't make any sense. And I need my toes to be in the sand right now. And that will fix everything for me. And that, I feel like, I don't know if that is a 2020, 2021 thing, or if that's just me getting older, but I feel like we can't fix it all at once. And we need to start by just fixing ourselves now.
Prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. I will also repeat another self-evident truth that the greatest philosopher of all times was Dirty Harry when he said a good man knows his limitations. Yes, I think focusing on the here and now is remedial. It calms you. It takes you away from the hysteria of someone who is gender confused being in charge of decisions in our lives, the Biden administration picking people that are just crazy and ill-equipped. He's choosing them. It's racism and sexism. He's choosing them on gender and race, colors and strangeness instead of qualifications. So that kind of stuff is so threatening to an orderly country that now more than ever we have to focus on the here and now. That being said, yes, you want to escape it on occasion. I've always said this since the minute we met, even though we haven't hugged yet, though we've spiritually hugged every night on
Yes,
Campfire.
we have.
That there's a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger out there. So take John Brenkus' advice. Focus on the here and now. I just got a wonderful video from my sons and daughters. They're cooking dinner and they're all bubbly and joyous. You'd think it was Christmas Eve or something. And they're dealing with the same angst and the same confusion that we see in the media and in politics. And we confront it to the best of our ability, but then we must draw the bow. We must step outside and cleanse our soul. We must sit down with mom and have an open, loving mother-son conversation. Those of you who still can, do it as often as possible because I miss my mother so horribly. She was such a sparkle, 24/7. She was just a vitality queen of piss and vinegar and funny lady, and always bringing humor and happiness and laughter to the world. So another takeaway from what you said, bringing up your mom, those of you that still have a mom and dad, call them every day. If they're nearby, visit them every day. Shoot the shit with them every day. Reminisce about those fun times and maximize those glowing positive memories because we're all born at point A, and we are going to perish at point B. And that's why I've always celebrated clean and sober, being the best that you can be, a conscientious diet, so you can spread out A to B as long as possible. But our elderly family members, they're going to run into point B sooner or later. So maximize those quality times. We just lost a great lady in Michigan, my dear hero friend, the godfather of the mystical flight of the arrow, right there with Fred Bear, the great Claude Pollington up in Marion, Michigan, who's considered the whitetail wizard, a dear, dear man. He just lost his beloved wife, Ruth. She finally succumbed to her cancer just the day before yesterday. And there's a lot of sadness up there, but Claude was a strong, smart man. He was with her and cherished every minute, regardless of the decree by the Governor Whitmers of the world where you can't visit your dying loved ones. He visited her anyway. And I've got a lot of stories since the last campfire of people who have really plummeted into the abyss of pain and heartbreak with losing loved ones. A dear friend in South Texas who, even though he was in his 80s, old Pepe, he lost his wife to COVID, and they wouldn't allow him to visit her. And they wouldn't allow him to hold a funeral for his beloved wife. And that was too much, and Pepe shot himself. He took his life. And I spent time with his daughter, and there was still buoyancy because Pepe lived a great life. He was a shit kicker. He was a hard-working guy that caught pigeons in Houston and sold them and worked his ass off on fences and roads and vehicles. And when we talked about losing Pepe, nobody cried because we remembered the positives. So on the Spirit Campfire on the first day of March, 2021, maximize the positive. Dedicate yourself to some degree, to the best of your ability, to your own limitations and capabilities, fighting the negative and the evil that is out there. But do not let a day go by. In fact, an hour maybe. Maybe fight for 50 minutes, then take at least 10 minutes of love and fun and laughter. But really maximize. I'd like to think, John, that the feedback I get from my birdland and from the shit kickers around here, our campfire has succeeded in one of the most important functions in life. Sanctuary, escape, fun, cockiness, irreverence, critical thinking, digging into the uncharted territories of the physics of spirituality. So Brenkus, I salute you and Courtney and Herbert and everybody else, Linda and Doug, and certainly Shemaine and my family, Toby, all my kids. There is unlimited positive love and happiness and laughter if you maximize those resources to the best of your ability. I know a lot of people are going, I don't know how you can be happy when people are dying and people are sick and they're making me wear a mask. And in Texas, they claim they're going to go door to door and force vaccines on the elderly. Hey, Governor Abbott, when you tell the National Guard to go from door to door to force vaccines for the elderly, I'm an elderly. We'll video that confrontation, and it won't be pretty. And guess who's going to win? I will. Because if you come at me trying to force a needle into my body, I will shove it so far up your ass sideways that you'll be squirting vaccine out of your nostrils. So don't even try it. I get a little thing called Don't Ted on Me. They actually made a flag. So I thought I'd inject that positive spirit amongst the celebration of a positive exchange.
Let me just tell you, what I love the most about Ted Nugent is it is very difficult to tell where you stand on issues. I sometimes can't read it, but on this issue, I'm pretty clear. Here is another thought, Ted, that I think is pretty cool as you're holding up the "Come and Take It" flag. That no one is coming to your property, I can assure you, to take anything. That is.
Well, by the way, I spent the whole day. John. I signed another. I think we're caught up. If you want one of these autographed Ted Nugent "Come and Take It" flags, I got that. You can actually read my signature. Can you see my signature? You can actually see the P, the E, the D, the N-U-G-E-N-T. But those are now available at tednugent.com. I signed 1,000 of those. They'll be going out tomorrow, so they'll get in the pipeline soon. But I'm being bombarded. John, I'm being bombarded with more requests for this hat than I was for the "Reelect That Mofo" hat. So if you want one of these "Come and Take It" hats, they're available
Let me just
now.
tell you.
I've
got an inside source, and I know at least in Texas, when they're making any rule that involves going door to door, they've taken the Nugent address and they just kind of crossed it out.
It's been redacted. I've been redacted from the Beta O'Rourke. I'm coming to get your guns, because I gave him my itinerary. I gave him my address. I gave him the gate code. I said,
That's
Beta,
right.
here's the gate code. Start with me. If you're going to take people's guns, start here. Whatever.
Start here.
Bag.
Let me lead by example. So, Ted, here was another thought that I wanted to sort of throw out there. And I was thinking of the gifts of the last year, because we're coming up almost on a year.
Yeah,
and the Salute Across America is almost coming up. So here is one of the gifts that I think really kind of brought us together, and really how you kind of just click with someone or you don't instantaneously. And that is, both you and I obviously are successful in our own sort of fields, and your field, most people identify you, Ted Nugent, as rock star, and that's what most people think. And I think that since we started the Campfire, the biggest thing that we have certainly shared with the audience that you have really opened up about is Ted Nugent rockstar is true, but Ted Nugent grand collaborator is probably a better title, because rockstar seems a little too possessive to me for the gift of collaboration that you have had. And I think of all the brilliant musicians we've had on, all the people who have played with you throughout your career, and what I see in you, and what we can hear from the audience as well, is how you have so successfully celebrated other people's talents and recognized it and empowered it. And that is a gift that our audience should see so clearly, that Ted Nugent is not walking around saying, wow, I'm a musical genius. He is walking around saying, man, have I been so blessed to work with so many musical geniuses. Yeah. And we have created a body of work that will endure, because all of the space was allowed for each person to make their contribution. Sure. And I feel like that lesson around the Campfire has really come through clearly, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to see that side.
Well, and it continues the Spirit Campfire. I mean, it's a Brenkus idea that I immediately saw the power and positive energy from. And you asked me if we should do a podcast. And I go, without even a comma, I went, yeah, we should. We should call it the Spirit Campfire. So whenever I'm surrounded by people with great ideas, it inspires me to latch on to the pulse of that idea. And when Derek St. Holmes comes in during, I think it was the Free For All album, and he played his version of a Bo Diddley lick, chunka 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 chunk, and I went, got to live it up. I mean, as soon as he played the lick, I said, got to live it up. And he goes, well, let's call it that. And I go, yeah, let's call it Live It Up. And so I've always celebrated that from the time in the Amboy Dukes with the amazing musicians. I've admitted that in most of my early bands, everybody was more talented than I was. I kind of glammed onto their musicality and their musical authority. I mean, the Damn Yankees is a recent example, but even with Greg and Jason is this unbelievably unlimited pulsation, drummer, groove, jazz, blues, pop, big band, orchestrational, grinding R&B and hardcore, high energy rock and roll. So if I'm worth squat, and by the way, I am worth maximum squat, it's because I'm surrounded by squat masters everywhere I go. You bring a great intellect, a great energy, a great positive spirit, and that goes for all the activities and all the endeavors that I've been blessed to collaborate with. You just listen to the Damn Yankees stuff, and all those songs erupted the minute any one of us hit a chord. Or the minute I would hit a lick and Tommy and Jack would go, yeah, stick with that. What is that? And then they'd turn it into this masterpiece. So it's good that you mentioned that, because what is the historical colloquialism? No man is an island. It is about teamwork. It's about finding people that share your core beliefs. And that's why I did the huntthevote.com. We are not going to get out of this insanity in America, and the list of insanities are far too long and extended to begin to label on this Campfire. and we all know what they are. Yes, be the strongest you can be, but remember, you have to lean on someone, and you have to be as strong as possible so that anybody who needs to lean on someone can lean on you. So I think that has been a constant, whether it was Billy Gibbons or Governor Huckabee or Governor Palin or Joe Piscopo or the great heroes of the military. There's always been a sense of team, a sense of collaboration. So that's an important point. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, John.
Well, you know, I feel really blessed, and I love to point that out. Here is another. I kind of feel like I've taken lessons from the Campfire, and I had a meeting last week, and it was with a Fortune 500 company, and I remember when we started the Campfire, and we were doing it. There was a particular individual, and Ted, I told you this story. There was a particular individual who was like, Brenkus, what are you doing a show with Ted Nugent? And I called you. I told you about this, and I said, listen, I can't. He's as authentic as they come. He believes what he believes. I think we have a great exchange of ideas, and he's a voice that not only deserves to be heard, but I think I really enjoy his company and intellect, and I think we have a great friendship, and that's why I'm doing it. It doesn't go beyond that. I really enjoy it. And it was last week. It was Brenkus. I watched last week's Spirit Campfire, and I get it. And I was like, what do you get? And it was, you guys have a really good exchange of ideas. Yeah. And I said, you say that as though it's shocking or a surprise. I'm like, I don't know what your preconceived notion was.
Preconceived notion.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's pretty awesome. So I feel really blessed that you and I, through this craziness, have just kind of stuck to our guns of who we are. And that's what I think brought us together so quickly. And we are who we are. And we really enjoy each other's company. And we enjoy the audience. We have a massive audience, especially when you look around Facebook and you see how many people have watched or how many people have touched the Spirit Campfire. It is tens and hundreds of millions of people. It's incredible.
Yeah, I love the term "stick to your guns." I don't know if I came up with that originally, but it certainly is applicable. In fact, let me go on a little tangent here. I've been going on a tangent since about 1952, but I had just an amazing week. We could spend 10 campfires just talking about this week. I was invited into South Texas, which might as well be the Serengeti. It might as well be Botswana. It's so vast, and there's landowners with hundreds of thousands of acres. And there's a nilgai antelope, a blue bull from India that was brought over to Texas in around 1930. I don't know if my phone photos show up, but it's a magnificent, muscled, defiant, ultra wary, has a radar in his sight and hearing and sense of smell that is 100 times a white-tailed deer, which has got to completely blow people's minds to the point where they don't want to believe what I just said. I don't know if you can see what these things look like on my phone, but it's a giant antelope that's almost blue. It's got like devil horns, and that's my GA Precision 308 with the Silencer Co. suppressor on the front. And they have to kill, on 50,000 acres, they have to kill thousands of them because they're so elusive that it's almost impossible to hunt them because they can hear and see and smell you from miles away. But Uncle Ted showed up, and on the first afternoon, I get a lot of inquiries about this rifle. This is a beautiful GA Precision. It's a bolt action based on a Remington 700 bolt action. I've got a Bushnell scope on it. It's I think 3.5 by 16. I always keep it on a low power. It's better to have your scope on a low power, and it does have trajectory compensating yardage adjustments. So I set this for about 70 yards and I back it down to 3.5 power when I'm in my blind, and I know I have to kill some nilgai. So Bob and I were sitting there on the first evening with my bow and arrow. I got my Matthews bow here, and I'm going to explain that too in a minute. But after sitting for 3 or 4 hours, Bob saw through the little slit in the blind. He goes, "There's a nilgai way out there." Long story short, the nilgai was 370 yards out, and I was able to get a rest on the blind windowsill. And I was looking through a big old scrub pucker brush thicket where you have to find a hole where the bullet will go through. You have to find that hole where you can know the bullet's going to make its lob, because at a 308, I'm shooting Remington core lock. These are 150 grain. This is a historical, world-class, ridiculously accurate, highly terminal round. It goes. In fact, I shot my first buck with this same bullet in 1968 on November 15th. Same bullet, same company, same ammo, with my dad's pre-1964 Model 70 Winchester with iron sights. But long story short, I get my breath controlled. I jack the scope up to about 10 power and dial it in for about 350 yards, the best of my ability. And I took a deep breath, and Bob's got the Spirit Wild video cam going. And the giant bull turned broadside at about 360 yards at this point. And I said, "Here I go." And I took a deep breath and let it out halfway. And because of the suppressor, all I heard was whop. And that bull started spinning. I was already chambering my second round. And at about 370 yards, the bull spinning, whop, I hit him again and dropped him in his tracks. Bob immediately said, "There goes another one. There's another one behind him." I jacked in another round. We're only 3 seconds into this now. And I'm looking, and that other bull's running way out past all the thickets, all the oak mots. And it stopped to look back to see what happened to his friend, because the suppressor keeps the sound so quiet. All that animal heard was the bullet hitting his 500-pound buddy. And I let my breath halfway out, and I guesstimated, because I didn't have time to adjust the scope or anything. I guesstimated, held high on his shoulder, wham, right through the heart. So within 4 seconds, I got 2 giant nilgai bulls. One of them is at Hibbler Taxidermy down there in Kingsville, Texas. But a little Uncle Ted tech tip: these suppressors make the gun so accurate, so comfortable to shoot. You don't even need to have hearing protection, because it's not silent, but it has such low decibels that it's more of a thump than a crack or a bang that might endanger your ears. So that first night out, I got 2 giant nilgai, and then the next day I got a beautiful buck with my bow. I got a doe with my bow. I got a pig, 2 pigs with the 308. And then I got 2 more great bucks, I mean great bucks, with my bow and arrow. So I've had the most wonderful week. Then I come home to Shemaine and the dogs, and the greeting and the love and the affection and the smooches and hugs and licking. I won't tell you who did what, but bottom line is I was greeted by my tribe, and it was absolutely, it's as if I lived on heaven. And here's the bottom line: I do. I live in the United States of America, in Texas, where you can own a suppressor, because there's some states you're not even allowed to own them. And there's these free-range, phenomenal big game animals in 2021. I know what Lewis and Clark must have experienced, but they couldn't have possibly had more fun and seen more spirit of the wild intensity than I did in South Texas. So a big thank you and a salute to all my friends in South Texas. And let me wrap up that story, even though the story is never wrap-upable. I had dinner on the last night with about 10 guys at a beautiful paradise. John, all of them were billionaires. They were all in the energy industry. They own pipelines, they own freighters, they own the tankers. They between the guys I had dinner with, they employ over 400,000 people. They're all over the world bringing energy to us. So when you turn the thermostat up, it gets warmer. When you turn the key on your truck, it runs. When you walk in a room and you need light, the switch makes the light bulb go on. I could go on and on and on about the vitality, the integrity. And you know what? It brings us right back to your opening statement, John. They're all billionaires. Billionaires. They're all buying these new companies, and they take a $6 million company, and the next year it's worth $100 million. I mean, guys are maniacs. But you know what their number one discussion was about? I didn't influence it at all. We're all having a good time. Their employees. They want their employees to be taken care of, not because the government tells them, not because the unions tell them, but because they want their employees to be safe, to be fairly compensated, to love their company, to love their boss. It's almost like they're, I don't know, it's like I am with my band and crew. There's nothing we can't talk about. I ask them how they're doing. When I see one of the guys wrapping up a cable, I jump in and help them. When I see somebody moving an amplifier, I jump in and help them, as does Greg and does Jason. So this collaboration that you so celebrated, this openness and love affair of their fellow man, billionaires do it. The rancher down the road does it. Goofy guitar players do it. ESPN guys do it. Courtney does. John, I got to tell you, if you didn't watch TV and if you didn't watch the news, we have to, again, you can't just go swimming in the nice pond. You got to make sure you kill the sharks in the other pond where your children might swim. So you have to maximize the good while you're identifying the bad and the ugly and working on it. But I got to tell you, there's another example of conservationists. You know what? The money they spend on quail habitat and white-tailed deer habitat, which, by the way, isn't just to kill quail and white-tailed deer. That habitat enhancement and resource stewardship, what does it ultimately do? Creates clean air, clean water. Right. Healthy soil, productivity. So I thought I'd share that little story of an average, I don't know how average it was because I don't get to kill nilgai very often. What a dream. And I don't have dinner with billionaires very often. But my point is, I love the billionaires because they flew me there and back. And they let me hunt their 100,000 acres of wildlife paradise. But you and I, John, we're them. They're us. You would have enjoyed every minute with these crazy rich guys. They're down to earth. And by the way, they all started rolling up their sleeves and working with oily pipes. They all started working on trucks. They all started clearing lanes to the pump jacks to get the natural gas. They all started as shit kickers. In fact, one of the guys was the great-grandson, I believe, might have been the grandson, of the company that literally built the highways of America after World War II. I mean, literally all that outrageous productivity. These are the kind of people I hang with. And I'm not fanning the flames of wealth. I'm fanning the flames of work ethic, dedication, caring about your fellow employees. It is so universal in the world that I tread in.
It is. There are a couple thoughts that I had. And one was, last night, the Golden Globe Awards went on. And I can tell you proudly, I've worked in entertainment my whole life, and I can tell you proudly, not only did I not watch 1 second of it, I don't know, I can't name a property that was nominated on it for anything. And, you know, having been in entertainment my entire life, I can tell you, yes, it's very important that people are entertained. But I know I'm not alone in terms of the lack of interest I have in traditional movies and TV shows like I used to, because this period of time that has come upon us has forced us to say, what are you doing right now? And the answer on, well, you know, I'm going to go to the movies is out of the question. And in lieu of the going to the movies, people are now doing other things. And I think one of the most important things that I'm articulating about this is that I hope the reduction of celebrity worship I hope, is going down, and people can see, feel, taste, and think, oh, those people who I previously may have worshipped are just people. And they happen to be people that a lot of other people know. And I'm not putting down anybody's success, but their success just happened to be visible. And that's why people know them. And they're not smarter than you. They're not better than you. They simply are, you are them and they are you. And we are all one.
How many times have I stated that the real celebrities in the world are welders? The real celebrities in my world are killer mechanics that can listen to the V8 in my truck and go, I think the number 2 valve has got something. I mean, these are my heroes. And obviously, celebrity in its honest and purest form means that you've delivered goods or a product or a service that deserves respect. That's what celebrity should be. Should Steven Tyler be a celebrity? Of course he should. What incredible music they've created. The artists and the painters. But I've always said that my heroes are the shit kickers of America that make America run. The working hard, playing hard, blue collar redneck. When there's a flood in Louisiana, who shows up? A bunch of guys in Ted Nugent T-shirts and NRA T-shirts with their duck boats to save people from the flood. I know that, like you just said, John, I think that coming to grips with merit, with integrity and good attitude. I've seen a few celebrities that take advantage of celebrity. And they want a red carpet, and they want special treatment. I think that's wearing out. I think you're absolutely correct when you see that the celebrities will say, we need to pass gun control, but I'm hiring a bunch of machine gun toting security guards. I don't think we should have walls. Walls is racist, except for the one around my mansion. I mean, the comfortably numb stupidity and hypocrisy that I witnessed by some celebrities. And again, those that have attained success, we've talked about this from Spirit Campfire #1. Every celebrity I know busted his ass at their craft. They really work hard. All the guests we've had on, I know the dues that they've paid. So if you're out there and you want to get recognition for your dry cleaning store or for your hardware store or for your bagel shop or as a teacher, my daughter Louisa was Teacher of the Year in Houston a couple years ago at this wonderful Jewish academy. That's celebrity. In fact, what could be more important in this world than proper education and loving teaching of children, preparing them for the future of taking the baton of America. So I find the positive energy and positive spirit that we demand here at the Campfire. You don't even have to demand it anywhere. It really is. It's ubiquitous, John.
It is. And you know what? I want to throw a challenge out because we have such an incredible audience that gathers every week around Spirit Campfire. Here are my new heroes. And I was out at, it's called Avalon here in Georgia, and it had a really nice, outdoor shopping center and nice outdoor kind of courtyard. And there was a father who was there, and he put his phone down and was chasing his daughter around the lawn. And the giggle that ensued and the pure magic of that sound and the act of putting the phone down and just being with your child, I'm like, that guy's a hero.
Yep.
That is, he's not filming it. He's not obsessed with posting about it. He's just giggling with his daughter. Like, that is, in this day and age, people need to put everything away and just be. And I think that's as big a hero as you could possibly be these days. I really mean that.
It might have been the manifestation of the limitations that are being placed on our society because of this scamming virus stuff. I know there's a COVID thing. There's always been a COVID thing. They had COVID 20 years ago. And I know that people are suffering. Our prayers and our empathy and our love go out to them. But when you see that, I'd like that to be an inspiration to everybody here at the Campfire, that if ever there was a time to put your damn phone down and go play with your kids, especially in the great outdoors. And in fact, that manifestation has erupted across the country. Do you know, John, that every state in America this past hunting season experienced an increase in hunting license sales? Every one of my sporting goods shop owners, from California to Kansas to Nebraska to up in Vermont, in Michigan, all across Texas, they're having the most profitable sales orgy year of their life. Some of them have been in business since 1962, and this is their greatest year ever at a sporting goods shop, not just because of the fears from the Joe Biden Marxist regime, gun control threats, and the outrageous Sheila Jackson Lee House Resolution 127, which, I think is the same one Fidel Castro implemented. It's not just a reaction to guns and ammo because of the threats against our right to keep and bear arms, but it's the outdoor allure of cleansing your soul, the spirit of the wild. That really is a term that encompasses the healing powers of nature, which I don't think one campfire we have failed to emphasize and encourage and recommend that. So, quality of life starts with quality of relationships. And the ultimate quality relationship is going to be parents and children. And no matter how ugly and stupid things get, fight like a son of a bitch to fix the ugly, but be sure you stop, take a deep breath, and I'm going to do it again, especially the mystical flight of the arrow. The archery industry has never had a year like this last year, selling bows and arrows and releases and heads and cases and boots and binoculars and rangefinders. Now is the time to discover the definitive escape that is archery. In fact, let me respond to a bunch of inquiries. People always say, "You think you have enough arrows, Ted? What do you need all those arrows for? A good hunter only needs one arrow." Well, I don't just hunt the deer or the hogs. If a squirrel goes by, I shoot at it, because squirrels are delicious and they're rodents, and it's good to kill squirrels. And in my quiver, my two outside arrows are a historical Zwickey judo head. This is a spring-pronged small game head that won't bury in the grass, because those little spring-fed prongs will catch on something and cause the arrow to be retrievable. So I have judo heads for the occasional bird, or if I see a dove during the dove season, if it lands nearby, I shoot at it, because I can eat all this stuff. Plus, I hunted bison here recently, and I made sure that I had a broadhead specifically for ultra penetration. And when I was hunting nilgai and the opportunity, they're very rare opportunity. I've killed, I think, 11 nilgai with my bow and arrow since 1980, I think, with the great Mike Morelli's over at Sarita Safaris. But that is made by Butch Bertram in Jackson, and it is a penetrating, terminally sharp, deadly broadhead for those kinds of big game animals. And then for the average deer that I hunt, I have the new archery product. Sure I do. I might have already broke them all. This is a new archery product broadhead for the deer and the hogs. So I have an assortment of weaponry here based on my next target animal. But I shoot a 50-pound Matthews. This is the Matthews Vertix. This is Trophy Ridge sight, and I have a kisser button. And when I draw back, that kisser button creates a constant anchor point, which would be the rear sight on a rifle. I have a peep, and I have pins on my Trophy Ridge sight. And I turned these guys on to bows and arrows this past weekend, and they were trying to pull back really heavy draw weight bows and grunting and groaning. And I said, stop. Archery isn't a weightlifting contest. Archery is graceful stealth. That bow has to come back smooth and easy. It's got to be graceful. So I got them shooting from this size groups. I got them shooting down to these size groups because lightweight, graceful is the ultimate archery experience. So all of you who want to get into archery, make sure you get a bow that is graceful and easy to draw.
All right, now, Ted, when I come down there in March, what are you going to outfit me with?
Well, you know, my archery company that sponsors Spirit of the Wild, and I went to them years ago, Matt McPherson. He's the same guy that made that wonderful guitar that I performed Fred Bear on here at the Campfire. Matt McPherson is like a mad scientist. He creates this incredible guitar, and he creates the number one selling bow in the world. Guitars and bows, boy, that'd be a great combination for a quality of life, American dream. And he also makes what is called a Genesis bow, which is the ultimate introductory bow that is the official bow for the archery classes in the school program across the country, because it comes back smooth and graceful. And it doesn't matter whether you're a child and stop here, or if you're a long-armed adult and you come back here. It's universal no matter what your draw length is. And I'm going to start you with feather-fletched arrows because the feathers are forgiving. They will flex as they leave the bow. They won't cause, the plastic vein will cause them to jump, except on when we get you finally set up, you have a drop-away rest that when the bow goes off, the rest falls down so nothing does touch it as the arrow is leaving. So it's already flying free upon release. So I got a Genesis bow for you with feather-fletched gold tip arrows, and we're going to start real close, and I'm going to just turn you on to the same thing you know as a baseball thrower, as a football thrower. If you've done any golf, it's about form and an alignment. Where is your being causing the projectile to go? I have a company called Projectile Management. So we're going to teach you projectile management, where you're going to stand close to your target and you're going to find out where is your hand pointing Mr. Arrow, and when can Mr. Right Hand coordinate with Mr. Left Hand when your hand-eye coordination tells you there's the bullseye. It's exciting. Everybody I've ever turned on to it falls in love with it. You will fall in love with it. And actually, this Genesis lightweight beginner's bow, it does throw an arrow with enough kinetic energy with a two-blade broadhead to kill game. And when you become confident and proficient, we'll get in a blind and we'll try to ambush dinner. That's
awesome. Now, remember, I am coming down in March, and then you promised me, and I'm going to hold you to it, that we are going to go spearfishing.
We will.
In the Gulf.
Yep.
You're going to come down to
I want to come down to Key West. I'll tell you, you're coming.
To the Keys. I've got a place for us to stay.
Yep, this is an important announcement. The Ted Nugent Gonzo Guns, Guitars, and Hot Rods auction will now be held at Tucker Hall here in Waco on March 26 and 27. It has been changed because of the broken pipes that ruined all the catalogs. They had to reprint the catalogs. They had to get everything reorganized after this outrageous Arctic freeze we recently had. But Rob Burley, if you go to burleyauctions.com, B-U-R-L-E-Y, burleyauctions.com.
And it's Burley Auction, singular, no S.
I think it's singular, Burley Auction. Is that right? burleyauction.com or tednugentauction.com, and see the insane, phenomenal collection of lifetime accumulation that I'm unloading. But I have to do it because I want to be streamlined. I have to do inventories on hundreds of guns, hundreds of guitars, all these trucks and these vehicles every year, the insurance, the inventory, keeping track of everything. I went, let's unload. Because as I mentioned before, I have hundreds of guns, most of which, John, have sat in safes, some in excess of 50 years. That's sacrilege. You don't have a custom 10 millimeter 1911 Colt that sits in a gun safe. So I'm auctioning all this stuff off. They're collector's items from hell. These one of a kind, some of them have serial numbers that says Nuge 1. Some of them said Whackmaster 1. These are one-of-a-kind pistols, rifles, shotguns, Ducks Unlimited shotguns. So the Ted Nugent Gonzo auction, Tucker Hall, Waco, Texas, March 26th and 27th. You go to burleyauction.com or tednugentauction.com and look at the list of things that I'm unloading. And that's all. If I wasn't me, I'd be buying half of this stuff.
That's right. You know what? You just might actually repurchase everything. you never know.
Well, I'm gonna tie my hands up because a lot of it, it was really difficult letting some of them go. They're one of a kind items, and they're all phenomenally functional. They're literally going to go down in history as collector's items. It's including a black Birdland guitar, a Gibson Birdland guitar, not Blackie, but son of Blackie.
Son of Blackie.
On the chopping block. And if you go to burleyauction.com, you'll see that people are already in a bidding frenzy. And I expect it's going to be an absolute riot in Waco, Texas at Tucker Hall, March 26th and 27th. You will be here for that. And then the Monday after Sunday, 28th, we will, of course, during the day, even during the auction, I think we'll have time to do a little archery and do a little exploring on Spirit Wild Ranch. But you'll fall in love with the people down here, the barbecue, Tim Tucker and Rob Burley and Ashley Tucker and Calvin Ross and Shemaine and Rocco and I will be there. I'm going to put on a Star Spangled Banner fire-breathing performance of all things patriotic, middle finger on fire. And I will be doing some jam sessions on the auction stage on some of the guitars, including a 1959 Holy Grail Gibson Les Paul and a 1958 Holy Grail Gibson Les Paul. So I'll be exercising them at the Tucker Hall on the 27th. And it's going to be a riot, I guarantee it.
That's awesome. All right, we're just about at the top of the hour, Ted. And one thing that we have not done, we need to thank Patriot Mobile, first of all. Patriot Mobile, go to patriotmobile.com/Ted. And Ted, the other thing that we have not done is you have not played the Star Spangled Banner.
I need to.
Like 3 weeks or something.
I need to do that.
I think you can send us out with the glorious anthem.
I shall do that, John. It's been a wonderful Monday night with you and Courtney and Herbert and everybody. Everybody out there, thank you. I may not know each of you individually on a personal level, but believe me, if you're spending time at the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus, celebrating the soul-cleansing physics of spirituality with the beatitude of the attitude, then we may not know each other face to face, but we know each other spirit to spirit. And I'm sincere when I say that. The positive piss and vinegar that we have on this show, the truth, logic, and common sense, the goodwill, the decency, the patriotism for the only experiment in self-government in the history of the world, it's on fire. And I salute and thank all of you for that. God bless you.
Woo! Awesome.
See you next week,
Next
everybody.
week. See you guys. God bless.